In this video, we will explore the personality traits of Enneagram Type 5. We will be able to understand people with this type of personality, why they behave the way they do, what their cognitive emotional strategy is, and it can help you to determine if this is your predominant personality type. Connected with the being 5s are understanding, wise, objective, intelligent, curious, and innovative. The key to understanding persona 5 lies in a cognitive emotional strategy, which is essentially about maintaining distance, whether from other people, from circumstances, or from emotions. The core idea is to stay detached and not get too involved. It's about emotional detachment, so that others don't influence your life as much. It's about not feeling so dependent on others or letting them control you. It's somewhat the philosophy of live and let live, key to the success of many relationships. They are often visionaries. They have ideas about life, politics, economics, and how society should function. They are very visionary and excellent researchers, psychological, social, political, and economic researchers. Many social 5s are teachers. The 5 balanced ones are excellent companions, they maintain a certain distance. You learn the live and let live mindset, being able to be with others' company but still maintain your independence. And that's very beautiful and key to the success of many relationships. Traditional literature about the Type 5 talks about the investigator, the knower, the discoverer. However, many 5s don't do as much research or spend all their time seeking knowledge. Really, the fundamental characteristic of the 5 is emotional detachment. They maintain a bit of distance, seeing things and emotions from a distance. Why? Well, because when you're overwhelmed by emotions, especially negative ones, you feel trapped and like you're not free from your emotions. So, emotional detachment, or the cooling of emotions, serves that purpose, to prevent them from being a victim of their emotions or moods, and to help them control and have mastery over themselves. Maintaining that independence is, for many 5s, a sense of having themselves, of being able to be with their thoughts, their life, their things. For example, many 5s, you might be with them at home, or just with them in general, and you feel like they're right next to you. They could be sitting beside you, eating, reading, or watching a movie, but you notice they maintain a certain psychological distance. In other words, they're focused on their own ideas, their own things. Maybe a 5 won't give you a hug. There are some 5s who are more kinesthetic, more affectionate, and touch more with their hands, but generally, 5s are more cautious when it comes to physical contact, but their way of helping and showing I'm here, I'm present is by being beside you, maintaining a bit of distance, not, for example, by overwhelming you with closeness. Identified with the ego, they tend to be distant, cold, reserved, and a bit of a recluse. They can be somewhat rigid. They can be terrified of facing reality, especially when emotional commitments with other people arise. Many collect information and knowledge without ever feeling prepared to take action. They often retreat into their solitude, delighting in their rational, theoretical, and intellectual world. So, what is the positive purpose of emotional detachment? Taking distance helps to view life with objectivity, to not be influenced by the thoughts of others, to have time for yourself, to maintain your independence of ideas, to focus on your own things, to research, to learn, to be independent in your thinking. Like in the TV show when Dr. House would say that he didn't want to see his patients or listen to them because they would ruin his objectivity. So, a healthy emotional detachment is necessary for everyone on a psychological level. There's a very interesting book called The Marshmallow Test in which Walter Mischel talks about how neuroscience has discovered that the key to self-control is cooling down negative emotions. Our emotional brain tends to heat up emotions like fear, anxiety, distress, emotional dependence, and frustration. These emotions get overheated. So, the key to self-control is learning to cool down those impulses, to cool those emotions. In this sense, healthy emotional detachment serves this purpose, to have more self-control and self-mastery. And this is one of the key lessons that fives teach us. The fives teach us how to have much more emotional control and psychological stability, to learn to live with ourselves and have greater self-control over our emotions and our lives. Now, what's the negative side of emotional detachment? Well, when fives get stressed because they feel they don't have time for themselves, when their resources are taken away and people pressure them, what the five does is withdraw, distance themselves too much, negative detachment, running away. They become very detached, they can become very cold. They don't feel as cold themselves, but from the outside, what is seen is coldness. It looks like avoidance, they withdraw, run away, and it becomes difficult to reach them. They become very detached, very individualistic, and it's hard to get through to them. Sometimes, the detachment can even be intellectual, as it can be difficult to convince them. And for others, that can be very frustrating. There's, in the background, a bit of cognitive inability to open their minds to new ideas. Sometimes, it's difficult to advise them. Many fives listen, but there's a kind of intellectual arrogance in them, not outwardly expressed, but internal. They feel it, and they'll tell you, "I'm listening carefully," and they pay attention to be polite, but they don't take your advice. They stick to their own ideas, psychologically distance themselves from you, and continue with their life. The five balanced ones are excellent companions. They usually master the art of the live and let live mindset, being able to enjoy others' company while still maintaining their independence. And that's key to the success of many relationships. However, a two might not handle it well. Many times, twos don't understand the value of positive emotional detachment. Twos share all their emotions with you, but you feel like you're too connected to someone, and it feels like they're absorbing you. You don't have that feeling with a five. A five gives you a lot of space, a lot of privacy. They respect your integrity a lot, and they respect your time. Fives are generally quite easy to identify. The five self-preservation type likes to distance themselves and stay at home. They really enjoy their house, their garden, their space. Fives of this type love studying, making artwork at home, and doing crafts. The conservation aspect is very important, nutrition, health, etc. They might have something like a bunker at home or another place as a refuge. The environment where they feel safe can be a house, an office, a garden, or even going outdoors. They often have an intellectual look, and even their morphopsychology often shows us that their head is slightly larger in proportion. The self-preservation five can be considered the engineer-researcher. They like topics related to research, technical subjects. These things really appeal to fives, as they fit the archetype. We can affectionately call them lab rats. The typical guy with glasses, intelligent, studious, but who wants to be a bit independent. That's the researcher profile. Now, interestingly, we could say that on one hand, they have a somewhat childlike side, and on the other, a bit of arrogance or ambition. Let's explore this mix. Self-preservation fives have this childlike side, especially seen when they're with kids. They love to play, they seem like big kids. You can really see it in their faces when they're around children, when they play. They're playful, fun, and very creative. They also have this ambitious side, which contrasts with this ambition and gives them a touch of arrogance. However, the self-preservation five doesn't really express or show it. They don't project much, they prefer to stay in the shadows. They are the ones who want to go unnoticed. Generally, they don't like to be very visible and don't like to share much. So, the arrogance might not be expressed outwardly. They're not the type to verbally throw insults, but when you talk to them, you sense that they have their own ideas. They listen to you, but they're not easily convinced. The self-preservation five is quite strategic, they have a very strategic mindset. The social five has an internal contradiction. On one hand, their social side wants to socialize, but on the other hand, there's the contradiction of wanting to disconnect a bit from the environment. The social 5 adapts to groups because of their sociability, but they also have this inner conflict. The social 5 will always have this struggle. They want to socialize, but they also want to maintain their space and keep their independence. In a group setting, a social 5 can momentarily take on the energy of a 7. They become humorous, showing their clever sense of humor. The social 5 has a very sharp, intelligent sense of humor. One characteristic of social 5s is that they find it very interesting to observe how people function. Many social 5s enjoy being around others, simply observing how people work. They are often visionaries, fascinated by understanding the human experience. For example, many social 5s are interested in politics and economics. They have ideas about life, politics, economics, and how society should function. It's the social instinct, this interest in learning from what others do, how other humans behave. They are excellent researchers, psychological, social, political, and economic researchers. Many social 5s are teachers. Generally, all 5s avoid conflicts, but for the social 5, dealing with conflict is the most challenging. It creates a huge emotional burden for them, especially in a group, and they avoid it when they can. Sometimes, the social 5 can be seen as more like a 6 because they're more sociable, more loyal to their people, and have a stronger sense of contributing to the group, of being with the group. They can all be helpful, the other 5s as well, but the social 5 seems to want to dedicate more time to the group. The sexual transmitter 5 enjoys sharing ideas. They are the type of researcher who likes to publish, to transmit knowledge, give public talks, and show everyone how intelligent they are. Generally, almost all science communicators are transmitter 5s. They are the ones who research quickly and want to communicate. The transmitter 5 has this duality: they want to expose themselves, but also maintain distance. So, the transmitter 5 wants to be exposed, to captivate people with their ideas. They also want to establish intimate relationships, to seduce someone on a personal level, but at the same time, they want to maintain distance. So, there's a contradiction. Many transmitter 5s want to connect with others, they want to share, they want to influence, but at the same time, they maintain their space and retreat back to their positions. The transmitter 5 is one of the types in the Enneagram that has the most difficulty fitting into groups, flowing with groups. It's because when they enter a group, the transmitter 5 typically shares their ideas and then leaves the group. They struggle to just be there without speaking. They prefer to talk rather than listen. There's a problem, because if you always go into groups to talk about your ideas, to share your knowledge, there isn't a reciprocal exchange. There's no give and take, no normal conversations. On top of that, the transmitter 5 gets bored with meaningless conversations. And besides this, many transmitter 5s have a bit of intellectual arrogance, feeling like they're smarter than others, and sometimes they show it by saying things like, "You don't know." They tend to know a lot, but often they make the mistake of reading just a few things. They read a psychology book, an economics book, something here and there, and then they think they're ready to teach others. With just a little knowledge, they already feel capable of teaching and discussing psychology, neuroscience, and art as if they were experts on the subject. The sexual transmitter 5 can be very sensitive. They fall in love quickly and experience infatuations in their mind. 5s are very idealistic when it comes to love. They can also feel very weak or delicate. They have this sensitive, romantic, humanistic side. I'll leave the link in the description and open a distribution list for all the videos related to the Enneagram as part of a course. Stay tuned for updates on the Enneagram in the video description below. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful. If you liked it, please give it a like. See you in the next video.